Hey guys, so I've been meaning to make this video for a long time. Been a real big fan of this program by Sonic Charge called Utonic. I really think it's probably one of the best drum instruments out there. Not necessarily if you're trying to use live drums, but if you're going for analog drum sounds, this is one of the most versatile programs that I've used, and it's really a whole lot of fun to use as well. So hopefully I can go through as many features as possible in this video to show you things that I'm most excited about with this program. So let's go ahead and get started. Basically what you've got here, let me just jump over into my instruments here, and here we go. Okay, so as you can see, there is the Microtonic and Microtonic Multi. The difference between the two is this one remains just a stereo VST, and the Multi you can actually separate into several tracks. As you can see here, I've got the main track that I've dragged Microtonic Multi into, and then I've made all these audio tracks here that I can route instrument 2 through 8. So the main track here will always be instrument 1 if you're pulling the other ones here. So let me show you basically how that works. So the first thing that you would do here is with your audio from, after you've loaded your Microtonic instrument, is you could come down here with audio from and choose Microtonic Multi. And once you do that, you'll get another drop down menu, and you can choose which of the separate sounds that you want, and there's 8 total sounds. So what I did is just grabbed 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you want to set your monitor to in on each of these tracks so that they play through there. And then you've got 8 separate tracks, giving you full versatility within Ableton, although this will work with any DAW. I really like the way that it works in this program. So let me go ahead and just play this pattern here and show you kind of how everything shows up. So as you can see, each of the sounds are on a separate track now, so I'll go ahead and solo through. So these layer together. And I'm not sure that there's anything on the last one. And of course you can control the tempo up here with your master tempo. So that's basically a preset. And they've got tons of really good starter presets, and I'll get more into that in just a little bit. So up here, these are your preset patterns, so you could go ahead and click here, and as you can see, there's tons and tons and tons of different patterns that you can go through. And each of the separate instruments here, you know, you've got your 8 separate here, you've got tons of different patches and sounds. So these are all different sounds that you can use. So if I want to, let's see if I can solo, yeah. So I can just scroll through these sounds. And there are some really great sounds in here. So I'll just stick with that. And obviously each of the sounds you can go in, and these are all the patches for certain sounds. You can browse all the drum patches here. You can browse by category, so you've got all these different options here: percussion sounds, hi-hats, effects, you name it. So as far as presets, there's just a whole load of presets and a whole load of different patterns as well that you can kind of work with. That's not necessarily what makes this program so powerful. What makes it really powerful is your ability to create or tweak any of the sounds any way you like, just like a analog synthesizer. So basically it's like having 8 separate drum synthesizers all working together. And the way it's laid out is really, really intuitive. So what you may have noticed me do earlier is I just was able to mute a track, but there's no solo on here. So if you want to solo one part, you just hit your command key, or if you're using a PC, your control key, and then it'll mute all the others and leave this one soloed. And do it again, and that clears it all out. By clicking on these numbers gives you full control of the full synth sounds and everything like that. So many of you might be familiar with like the old Roland drum machines, the 808s, 909s, 606s, 707s. And if you are familiar with those, and you're going to be familiar with this layout for drum programming. Basically, what you got here is you've got up to 12 patterns that you can run, and then you could switch between them. And essentially, you could chain the patterns together. So by clicking this little deal down here, it will move to the next. So if I just wanted this one pattern to play, it's just going to stay here. In order to go to the next pattern, I hit this. And as you see, it's this one on D, we stop it so it goes back to A. So that's basically how it works. It'll go from A all the way to L, depending on how many you want to chain together. And with each sound, you can enter it in. So let's just go ahead and, for example, this here. This is 4 patterns playing, but let's just work with one pattern. So what I'll do is I'll just and as you can hear, this gives kind of like a fill. And then here you have the rate at which the fill is. Pretty cool stuff. And of course, you've got your accent here, so let's go ahead and throw in an accent. And then maybe a fill here. And now I can use swing to kind of add that little bit of offness. So you could get a real straight beat, or you could give it some swing. Most of the time you're going to want to give it a little swing just to give it a little something. And then also you can, it kind of quantizes the pattern, so it can shift it into triplets and all kinds of interesting things. So let me go ahead and play with that real quick. So that gives you a whole lot of flexibility as well, of just kind of changing your rhythm around without even having to reprogram a number of things. So that is pretty amazing as well. Over here you get all kinds of different options for your patterns. You can copy the pattern, cut the pattern, export it if you want to save it. And you could also alter the pattern. Alter the pattern again. Reverse. Randomize accents and fills. randomize entire pattern. So that gives you kind of just some immediate access to interesting things that you can, use. If you're not inspired, this program could really inspire your ideas in a lot of different ways. Another great feature is that you could shorten your patterns. So let's just go ahead and play with pattern A here. And down here, as you can see, these are all blue, but you can actually undo these and you can make a 15/16 pattern or 14/16 and shorten it to make some interesting patterns. So let's go ahead and play with that. And this could come in especially handy if you're doing something that's melodic. You could actually take each of these sounds and make a tone so that you've got 8 different tones to work with and kind of build melodic ideas as well. You're also able to assign MIDI keys or notes to different patterns so that you can just hit your note and have it shift to whichever pattern you want within the 12 patterns. So that gives you a lot of interesting flexibility. So let's go ahead and work with some of the sounds and show you what it's capable of doing. See if I can find the kit. Okay, so let's just play with this here. So all these parameters here are going to affect the sound in one way or another. So if we start over here in the oscillator section, we've got kind of a little bit of a grittier sound. We could shift over to a sine wave. Or a saw wave. And then we have pitch envelope, so this is going to affect the attack of the sound. And then we can affect the amount. Obviously your decay here, from a very quick decay to a long. The attack is how quickly it'll come in. So you can almost make it like a reverse sound type of thing. Very cool. Then you've got your frequency. And as you can see in here, it'll also tell you the note. So if you're trying to tune it to a certain note, very easy to do here. So if we come over to the noise section here, we can play with, obviously, the noise. Play with the filter Q. Affect the decay. And now I can mix it back with the oscillator. Gives just a little bit of noise in there. Obviously panning, distortion. EQ. Really good for snares and stuff like that. Get the EQ up, distortion up. And actually, over here in the noise section, there's a nice little special envelope that's made for claps. Kind of gives a stutter sound. There you go. So as you can see, just doing a little playing around with this and learning a little bit about the parameters, you can get a wide variety of great sounds. And once again, you could always, go here and find some sound that you want to start with and then tweak it. If you want to go for snares or whatever, you can just go by category. And here we go. You got all your drum sound here. So it gives you a great place to start, or you can just use them as is. A lot of the sounds are very, very usable just as is. Another really cool thing that you can do, and it's something that I think of as kind of like a necessity, is instead of playing your part from here, which is synced up, what you can do is you can make your pattern, and you can actually make several patterns and your chains of patterns, and then you could drag that into your main window here, and then you could not only play from here, but you could also edit your MIDI in any way that you'd like here. The last thing I'm going to show you is the thing that they call the Patternarium, and this is just this online experiment of tons of different patterns that are they kind of evolve from one idea to the next idea, and it's one of those things that you really got to check it out in order to understand specifically. But let's jump over here and we'll browse a Patternarium so I could show you how that works. And we'll press. So you can go through all these patterns here. You could go to the top charts and see what people are liking the most here. Let's see what this is. Sounds pretty awesome. And then you could copy this like so. Paste it in here, and here we go. So that gives you tons and tons of different pattern options. Another really cool thing that you can do is called sound morphing. So let's take our part here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this morph all the way over to the right, and then I'm just going to tweak these sounds here. Like so. And then I could morph it back to So that's a Utonic in a nutshell. I highly recommend. I don't make any money off of this, if you go and buy it or whatever, but it's something that I highly recommend. It's a tool that I like to use quite a bit. And I think that you guys will get a whole lot out of it. All you got to do is really sit with it for a couple days, and you could really start dialing in your own style and figuring out how it works. So I hope you have a blast with it, because it's once again one of my favorite drum programs. So there you go. Enjoy.